Hey everyone, welcome to another $1,000 strap search. I've got my $1,000 in singles here and I'm about to show you what I found. But before I do, let's talk about this week's tip. Now, this week, I want to talk about price versus value. Price is how much you are going to pay for a particular note. Value is what the note is actually worth. And these two numbers may have nothing to do with each other, okay? What does that mean? Let me explain. Let's say that you are after one particular note, and you go to a major show, and there are hundreds of dealers there. That note's supposed to be $100. But in this show, where there are hundreds of dealers, only one person has that note. Well, that person could easily ask $150, $200, $250 for that one note because they're the only one there that has it. So if someone really wants to buy that note, even though the value is only $100, the price could easily be $150 or $200, simply because there aren't any there. Now, the opposite is true. Let's say there's a note worth $100, and every single dealer has multiple of those notes. Well, any dealer that wants to actually try to make some money at the show is probably going to sell that note for a lot less than $100. They're going to put a price on it to try to undercut everybody else there at the show. So you might find that $100 note for $50 if you look around the show. So once again, the price on the note doesn't really have anything to do with the actual value of the note. It simply is how much you are willing to pay to get a given note. And when you've got a price guide, well, then you know the value. So now it's a matter of how close to that value are you actually going to pay. And that's a choice you have to make. How badly do you want that note in your collection? Like I said, if it's the only one there, you may want to pay more than book because you may not get another chance at it. However, like I said, if everybody's got one, well, now you can wheel and deal a little bit. Anyway, that's a prime example of price versus value. Just because somebody paid this much for a note doesn't mean the note is worth that much. So keep that in mind when you see different things on eBay, different quote-unquote sellers telling you different things about prices. No. You can usually trust what a true dealer is going to tell you as far as value goes. If a dealer doesn't want to sell an item or doesn't want to buy an item from you, he probably feels he has no chance of reselling it, or it has no value and just doesn't want to break your heart. All right, anyway, here's my 1,000 singles. Let's get them out of the way, and let's take a look at what I found this week. Found a note with a stamp. Don't block black voters. Is that what that says? Yeah. Votes. Don't block black votes. If you... I can't even make out the rest of that one. Anyway, no, probably not a good idea. One person, one vote. Everybody should be allowed to vote. Don't be blocking anybody's vote. Juan M. apparently had this note. Now, I have my thoughts on this note. And how simple of a thing is this? There are times when, if you fly Southwest, for instance, sometimes the stewardesses, is that, no, flight attendants, I think that's the appropriate term. What they will do is they will have you pull out a $1 bill and write your name on it. Then they go through the entire cabin and pick up the bill that you wrote your name on. They pick one up from every person that did it, and they put them all in a bag. Then they'll draw one bill from the bag, and whatever name is on that bill, they win the entire bag. That's, I have the feeling that may be the story behind this particular note here that has a name written on it. Just a random thought that happened to come to mind. I've never partaken in such a thing, but I've heard of that happening. So something tells me that's probably the history of this note here. Okay, this one's a really high number. Remember, $1 notes are printed up to number 96000, and you can see this one here is 9599 and then 5249. So it's 4,000 away from the top note that you can find. Not a ridiculous, well, it is a high number, but not a ridiculously high number. You'd want to see one more 9 for that to have additional value. This one here is an alternator. You've got 1 as the alternator, 91216161. And this one also an alternator. 2 is the alternator, 32420202. And some trinaries, 0s, 1s, and 5s on this one. 0s, 2s, and 4s. What do we got here? 2s, 5s, and 9s. 0s, 8s, and 7s. 0s, 8s, and 9s. Or should I say 8s, 9s, and 0s? What is that? The opposite of a true trinary? Just a made-up fictional thing. And also, look at the wet ink transfer. So, wow, I have a 2-step away from a true trinary with an ink transfer. And it's in decent shape. I bet I can get $5,000 for this note. Oh, wait. Sorry. I thought I was somebody else. Just a trinary. Just wet ink transfer. Not worth nothing. 1s, 2s, and 4s on this one. Rough shape, some writing on it, probably going to go away. 2s, 5s, and 7s. And what do we got here? 1s, 6s, and 9s. A lot of people are going to call this a rotator. If you flip it over, you can still see 1s, 6s, and 9s. The 1 has that flag, that little serif there. So it's not really a true rotator. You want 6s, 9s, and 0s for it to be a true rotator. This is 1s, 2s, and 9s. And then quads. Quad 3s on this note. It's got tape on it. Yep, that's going to go back. Quad 5s with a 5th. And technically it's a trinary. 4s, 5s, and 7s. Quad 6s with a 5th. I watched the guy on Whatnot trying to sell these for... he was claiming they were $10 to $25 because they were 5 of a kind. And the 16 people that were there... we're giving him about $4 a piece for them, as he was telling everybody that he could sell them on eBay for 25 bucks a piece. Sometimes you just have to ask yourself a question. First of all, if you have 10 of them and you're claiming they're worth $25 a piece, that's $250 that you're telling everybody you can sell them for on eBay. So if you can sell those 10 notes for $250 on eBay, why would you sell those 10 notes for $4 a piece on Whatnot? That's 40 bucks. Why would you short yourself $210 if there was any truth to that at all? And would people actually be buying them if you weren't telling them they were worth $25 a piece? Anyway, that's my 4 6s with a 5th. And this one is actually 5 2s in a row. And I got 5 5s in a row. So that was pretty cool. Then I got some stars. 2017 star. Always checking to see if your stars are filled. Another 2017 star, 2013, another 2013, another 2013, and another, lots of stars this week. Another 2013 here, another 2013, 2009 star note, and some older notes. This is a 2003A, pretty rough shape on this one. 2003A, a little bit better color. And then this one's a 2003. Another 2003 with writing. Rough shape, it's going to go away. 2003, much better condition. 1995, checking to see if it's a web note. It is not. Another 95, torn corner. So this one's, oh, no, it's not torn corners. Just fold it over. 1988A, also not a web note. First year for a web note potential. Pretty good shape, too. Pretty crisp. 1988A has seen better days. 1988. Another 1988, an I note. That's nice to see. And the oldest note, this is cool. 1969, and it's crisp. Almost crisp uncirculated. It's very, very nice. A great note to find in circulation. Is that a roller mark? That kind of looks like roller marks. There's going to be people saying that that's all kinds of errors right there on the top. No. If anything, it's probably just a little bit of damage, but still, crisp 1969. 2 as Chicago, that's the common one, but I'll always take a crisp 1969. All right, so what do I have this week? Well, this week I pulled out this. This is from 1937, Ottawa, Canada. There it is. 2nd of January, 1937. Is that what it says there? That's what it says. Ottawa, the 2nd of January, 1937. $1 bill from Canada. Now, this is an interesting series. This series here, from 1937 Canada, this was a very strange time for Canada. You had King George V, who died January 20th, 1936. And when he died, how did it go? His son became King Edward VIII. And his son decided he wanted to marry an American woman who had been divorced. And the Church of England said, you cannot become king if you are going to marry a divorced American. So King Edward VIII abdicated the throne to his brother, who was King George VI. So this is a picture of King George VI. Now, because of the way that worked, he greatly changed the line of inheritance. The next person that you're going to see on a note, or I should say the next king or queen, was Queen Elizabeth. Now, before all these deaths and abdications, she was like 18th in line for the throne. But because King Edward VIII abdicated the throne, that skewed the line, and that gave Elizabeth her shot at becoming queen. Anyways, so it's kind of a fascinating note because during this particular year, England had 3 different kings. So it made trying to figure out the money a little tough. It turns out that King Edward never actually made it onto the Canadian currency as a king. As a child, I believe he was on some of the other notes. But this is the image that they went with for King George VI. And yeah, it's kind of an interesting story, the way that the lineage gets kind of skewed. But yeah, the story made me want to have a couple of these Canadian notes, so I decided to start with this one here. Anyway, that's what I've got for you this week. If you learned anything new, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Love reading all your comments. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.